What's up guys, this is Lior and welcome back to the channel. Now in this video, what I thought I would do is give you guys an overview of a recent property that I was able to buy about 2.5 months ago. And I'll give you guys the details about how we completely stabilized that property, right? So it was distressed, it needed work, it had some issues with tenants. And within about 2.5 months, we were able to knock it out, get most of it stabilized. And now it's a pretty sweet cash flowing rental property for us. So I'm gonna give you guys the details in this video. So make sure you tune in and check it out. What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Before I get into it, super quick, if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, just smash that subscribe button for me. Helps me out a ton, right? Motivates me to put out more content for you guys. So if you haven't, please smash that button. With that, I'm gonna get right into the story, right? So basically, as I said, and I'm actually gonna go to my patio because it is a really beautiful day today. So we bought a property that needed some work about 2.5 months ago, right? This was right in the winter / early spring, right? The pandemic was still going very strong. And basically we found this pretty distressed property that I really liked. Now, it was distressed in a couple of manners. I'm gonna put this down. So, a couple of things were wrong with it. A, it needed some work, right? So there was one unit that needed a ton of work that we completely rehabbed. And then there was also one tenant, there's a second tenant in there that was paying really low market rent. And then there was a third tenant that was also paying really low market rent, but we had a feeling that there was something wrong with it, that they might not even be paying because of the pandemic. So there was a couple of issues with that particular building. So our game plan was pretty straightforward. We're gonna go in with the empty unit. We were gonna come in, renovate that unit completely, do new kitchens, baths, floors, and I'll give you guys a tour. I'm gonna head over to the property in a couple of minutes and show you guys. Now for the second tenant, one of them that's paying below market, they're actually Section 8, and I'll talk to you guys at the building about that, but basically, I actually don't mind that scenario when we have a low paying Section 8 tenant because we can actually renegotiate directly with the housing authority. I've done that now many times on many different projects and properties, and we're very good at it, so we know exactly what kind of paperwork we need to get done, how quickly to submit it, when it can go into effect. So I'll give you guys the details about that. And finally, I'll give you guys the details about the third unit. You know, that one's definitely a little trickier. We're almost done with that stabilization process. We did have to get attorneys involved, but I'll give you guys the details as I get to the property. So I'm gonna head out, give you guys a tour of the property and give you guys more details about what's going on there. All right, so I just arrived over at the property. Like I said, I needed to do some checks on a couple of things anyway. So what I thought I would do is first start with that top vacant unit that I told you guys about. So that was the unit that we actually got delivered vacant when we bought the property and rehabbed it. We spent about 50,000 bucks. So I'm gonna give you guys a tour of that unit. You'll see kind of how we rehabbed it, how we spent that 50,000 bucks. And I'll tell you guys about the process with the other two units. So let's go right into that building. All right, heading inside. And by the way, before we go to the third floor, check out what we did with the floors. You guys see it's like this really cool rubber material. I'll give it another point. It's like this super cool rubber material that I saw at another investment property I was checking out, and I liked it a lot for the common space. It's like super durable. It doesn't get wet, right? Like if it gets wet, it doesn't like sog into it. And it's just a nice clean look. So we installed that here, and I'm actually thinking about doing that in all the properties. I'm really loving this look. All right, so I just entered unit 3 again. This is the one we just rehabbed and spent $50,000. You can tell it's super nice and clean. When we first bought it, it needed actually quite a bit of work, but you can see kitchen is all renovated. So let me give you guys the scope, right? We spent 50,000 bucks. Basically, we redid the whole kitchen. You can see new appliances, new cabinets, countertops, redid the plumbing behind. So that was obviously quite a bit of a budget. We redid all the floors. You can tell they're all nice and shiny. It actually still has my favorite smell is that stained hardwood. You could tell they were just freshly redone. So that's been done. This used to be a living dining room, and we built this big wall right behind us. Again, kind of creating a fourth bedroom. So it used to be a 3-bedroom. We split off the living and dining and created a 4th bedroom. So now it's a 4-bedroom with a living room so we can generate more rent. But you can see the unit's just super clean, right? We threw in some recessed lighting behind me. Everything is just painted, cleaned up. Even the bathroom, I'll give you guys a look. bathroom, nice vanity, new tub, redid the plumbing behind it. So that was about 50,000 bucks between just cleaning everything out. I mean, you know, there's a lot of clean out to be done here. The seller left a ton of crap. In the basement, we also did some stuff in the basement where we built storage units. You guys saw we did the hallway work. So all that construction together came to 50,000 bucks, and I think it came out really, really nice for a rental property. Now, let me talk about how we stabilized Unit 2. So Unit 2, when we bought it, was paying about $1,000 below market rent. But the good thing, and the thing I liked a lot about it was a Section 8 tenant. And what I've done before previously with other buildings is we now know that we can actually renegotiate Section 8 rents right to market rent as soon as essentially we buy the building, right? So basically what happened is we came to the tenant and told the tenant, look, you know, you're currently way under market rent, but the good news is, again, Section 8's paying the majority of your rent, so we're gonna file a rent increase with Section 8. They should have the bulk of the rent increase, right? And sometimes it's they take the full bulk of the rent increase. Sometimes they take the majority of it, just depends on the tenant's financials. But essentially we submitted a rent increase directly to Section 8, got them to approve that rent increase within about 45 days, 60 days of buying the building. So now in about 2 months, that rent increase is gonna go in effect. We literally just create an extra $1,000 of income by just submitting that paperwork. I will say one of the questions I get a lot about this is like, well, what happens if the tenant doesn't sign and all that? What I do like to do is offer that tenant some upgrades, right? So I went up to the tenant and said, look, you know, I don't want to just come in and raise the rent. We'll also do some work for you. So we did repaint her unit. Bought her some appliances, cleaned out a bunch of stuff, right? So we kind of made it a win-win where she signs the paperwork for us so we can get that rent increase. We made some upgrades for her that she wanted, and it really worked out really, really nice, I'd say, for both parties. So that was the story on two of the units. Now, the first unit, or Unit 1, or the third, however you want to see it, this one's definitely the trickier one, and that's the one we're still kind of figuring out. So the story with that one is when we bought it, we actually found out that the tenant was not current on the rent and they were not paying it. You know, we did ask the owner during the transaction. He didn't, and you know, he basically told us he was collecting the rent as cash. He didn't have any proof of payments. You know, and I didn't press too hard because at the end of the day, we were getting a really, really good deal, and it basically part of the conditions were as is. So I kind of figured there would probably be a surprise here and there. So yeah, we found out basically the tenant wasn't paying. So what ended up happening was within about 30 to 45 days, I went up to the tenant once she missed 2 months straight of, you know, first of the month payments, and told her, look, you know, unfortunately, you've already missed two of your rent payments. And this is all, again, spring 2021. So a lot of the pandemic stuff is starting to kind of lift. Some states are lifting their declarations of emergencies. And I basically at least told her, look, you know, unfortunately, we're going to have to file an eviction because you're behind on your rent. Obviously, you're not planning on paying for it. And that's exactly what we did, right? So we hired an attorney to file for an eviction. It's still very tricky to navigate the eviction waters right now. I mean, it's still very, you know, it's obviously very far from an easy layup. But basically what ended up happening was once the tenant got served and found out that she was served, she quickly came running to us and said, look, I don't want to lose my home. I'm going to pay you guys the rent, right? So she actually just last week paid her first month rent check, you know, and this is 3 months into into ownership of the building. So we're going to see how it plays, right? I mean, she still has an accrued balance, obviously, from the previous months. But if she gets on a consistent schedule where she's paying that rent again, you know, we're going to be pretty happy with that. We'll kind of play it from year after that, right? Hopefully we can get her on a basis where she's paying, you know, rent every single month for at least the next 3 to 6 months. And then I'll kind of press again about the owed balance, as well as potentially increasing the rent to market rent, because she is still quite significantly below market rent, and it's that one unit that's below market rent. So I'm hoping within about 3 to 6 months, once she kind of gets on that cycle, I can have that conversation and essentially finish up that stabilization process. So that's kind of the game plan with that unit. But all that being said, I'm still really, really happy with the progress we made here. I mean, we're basically almost fully stabilized here. within the course of 2 months of ownership, right? I mean, again, we rehabbed that unit. A tenant is moving into that brand new unit within a week or so. We've got that rent increase approval for Unit 2 through Section 8, and now we are collecting rents again from that last unit. You know, we're going to get on a consistent cycle with her, and then within 3 to 6 months, you know, try to bump up that rent a little bit more, just so we can really maximize our yield here. But I do think we're going to get a very, very good valuation. My plan is to do a cash out refinance probably within about 6 to 9 months. Again, my original goal was within a year or under. I think by that, within 6 to 9 months, if I get that last unit all the way to market rent, we're going to have amazing value on this building and be able to pull out a ton of cash. So I'm really excited for that.